What's up, gang? Welcome to another episode of Inspired By, a series where we look at the musical trends, past and present, to understand the techniques used so that you guys can make better music. And today we're looking at organized chaos. Yes, I want to help you create some lo-fi textures that are relatively easy to make, that have maximum reward. Perhaps you're feeling a little bit uninspired with the current sounds that you're using, the same sounds from Splice or SOUNDPACKS, or maybe you're even using the preset MIDI sounds that come with your DAW. I often use this method because one, it's super fun, and going into it, you know, like Forrest Gump said,
you never know what you're gonna get.
Let's just jump straight into it and I'll show you what I mean. Guys, I am so excited. I absolutely love this method of getting new sounds, adding them to the sound bank, and just feeling a little bit more productive, especially when you don't feel like making a beat. And I'm gonna try and push out a video soon on the things that I do to become a better beat maker that don't necessarily involve sitting down and making a beat, because I think that would really help the community. We've been speaking a lot in the comments and in the Discord about mental health and the things that you can do to stay productive that aren't necessarily pressuring yourself to create an entire beat. You get such good results out of this method, but it's very low maintenance. So let's just jump into it. Now, you heard in the introduction to this video what we're aiming for. I'm gonna create a hi-hat layer and a snare layer from scratch. You can do this with a kick drum. It's entirely up to you. And I think if I show you two examples, you've kind of got the picture. So let's jump into it. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to make it. But of course, if you're already part of my Patreon, I'm gonna upload this Live 11 template for you so you can do it with ease in future. So I've got this little one shot from Splice. Don't be fooled by me using a sample. It's very quiet and it's just going to be the trigger for all of these sounds. So I've just looped him up so that he's playing repetitively. Then on a new layer, I've got this texture channel. So I've recorded a bunch of different Foley sounds and they're going to be triggered by this layer here. And then I have this noise layer as well, which is just repeating the same piece of noise. Now, the interesting thing about this is I have a resample layer, which is going to record these sounds in. And if we go onto my channels, I actually have a gate setup. Now, on my first texture channel, I have the Haas effect because I want that texture to be really, really wide. As you know, I take a lot of inspiration from producers like Bonobo, who keep their claps quite wide and just have a small focused central point. I really like that about, you know, kind of snares and percussion in particular. So I've got the Haas effect. You can obviously use sample delay, as I've said loads of times in previous videos. I've got a gate here that's going to be triggered by my snare sound. So all you need to do is just grab the Ableton gate, turn on the sidechain function and audio from, and it's going to be this drums layer or whatever you've called it. So all that I've done with the gate is brought down the threshold level and turned up the floor level a little bit there. But you can see that we've got some business going on with the release here. And this is where it gets really cool. I'm using this Max for Live MIDI device. I believe it actually now comes with Ableton 11, but if you're using Ableton 10, grab that from the description below. And what this does is it just controls a parameter that you map it to. I've shown it in previous videos. So right now the shape is just a sine wave. I've turned the depth right down and the rate right down, so it's moving quite slowly. The reason I've moved the offset is because I want the release to occur a little bit more towards the right in the later milliseconds than in the earlier milliseconds. So I've moved that offset over to the right. And then all I did was hit map and then choose release. So this is moving backwards and forwards. That means that when I keep this loop playing, you're going to hear more of the texture or less of the texture sometimes. I've also coupled this sound with the noise layer, which has a little bit more going on. I've just got the operator with the noise waveform here. EQ 8 because I don't want any low rumble in there. Utility to set it to mono. So it's going to be coupled with this snare layer, that again, that central element that I want to be heard with that mono snare. And I've got the gate, but again, the release being controlled by the LFO device. All that we need to do after that point, Command T to set up a new audio channel. And then you're going to go to audio from and just set it to resampling. Once you've set it to resampling, you can turn record arm on. And then what that means is anything that plays is going to get recorded into this channel here. So I'm going to turn on my snare, I'm going to turn on my noise. At this point, you can hit record, go grab a cup of tea, and we can see what happens. Cheers. So I've got my snare layer here with a bunch of different sounds, a bunch of different velocities, which is really, really nice. So what I would do at this point is Command A inside this layer and right click. You can slice to a new MIDI track and it's set to transient by default. So I'm going to set it to quarter notes. So I can choose these layers here. Slicing preset built in is fine. And I press OK. So here it loads a little bit and it sets me up with a drum rack. So now we go through and select the sounds that we think are nice. I'm just going to throw in a kick drum loop and then I'm going to record my snare pattern over the top. Cool. So I've got a little pattern there that I like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something with the hi-hats. Also, can I just show you guys a quick bonus trick that you may or may not know existed? So freeze, flatten a track. Let's say that I want to use these sounds a little bit later. Did you guys know you could do this? I did this absolutely by chance and it blew my mind. I can drag my Ableton window to the right and grab an AIF file and just drag it to my desktop. And then it just saves that sound to the desktop. I don't have to bounce it out or anything. I had no idea that that existed. I don't know if it's a new thing, an old thing. It's probably just me that didn't know. But if you didn't know, awesome. I hope it helps. And just before we jump into creating the hi-hat, I just want to say a quick word from our sponsor today, DistroKid. All right, gang, I want to quickly interrupt this episode before we continue to tell you about our sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid make it so easy to release your music on any platform. This includes Amazon Music, Apple, Spotify, and even social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok. DistroKid have a phenomenal way of also bringing the community together with their spotlight function. As you guys probably know, it's all about securing a place on a playlist. And DistroKid have specially curated playlists too. With DistroKid, what you can do is upload your track with a chance to be featured on one of their officially curated playlists. Here you can vote for others, but my most favorite function is the fact that you can DM the artists and say, hey, we're both on DistroKid and we should totally collaborate sometime. If you want to start releasing your music with DistroKid, make sure that you use the link in the description below for a discount. Now I know why you're here, let's crack on with the video. So my textures for the hi-hat are going to be a little bit different. So I've just taken this loop here. So I'm going to increase the noise. And with my LFO, I want it to be a little bit brighter. So I'm going to increase that maximum as well. So it's just kind of stay into the latter right half of the frequency. And then with the texture itself, I'm also going to add a phaser. Because I want them to sound like super unique. So as I did before, I'm going to grab the sound, I'm going to warp it and loop it. As this is resampling, don't forget that you can edit these values, you can pitch down your sound as well and just keep it resampling, add effects as you're resampling, and then just chop up all of the things that you really like. Let's go for it. We've already got our resample channel set up, so we're going to set that to record. We don't need to hear it right now, so I've muted it. I'm going to hit all of these, get ready to play those, and then here we go. I felt like the decay on my sounds were a little bit too much, so I just increased the threshold and brought down the floor level so the attack on the texture was a lot quicker. Okay, look at that. This time around we've got loads of sounds, but I'm really enjoying the sounds in the latter half as I mentioned. So slice to new MIDI device, quarter notes, okay. I can EQ these. And I can turn all of these sounds off and go back to my project. And let's just play some hi-hats in. At that point, you've got some nice drums playing. So let's just drag in our chords and see what this sounds like. So there we have it, guys. A really quick and no fuss method of bringing some organic sounds to your drum selection. If you didn't already know of this method, maybe learned something new, or at least enjoyed the video, please do give it a like, subscribe if you're not already, because it greatly helps out the channel. And if you're using a different method, please do let the community know by dropping a comment below. And as always, guys, you can visit patreon.com/TheWillHatton and you can download the Lo-Fi effects rack, other effects racks we've created, all of our other projects, and including the template that we created today if you don't want to make it yourself. Everything else that I've mentioned in this video or previous is also in the description below. But as always, I thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.